All right, we are live. Welcome to Cocktails with Candidates, brought to you by Polliticly. I'm here today with mayoral candidate Joycelyn Taylor. Thank you so much for being here with us. Joycelyn describes herself as the true grassroots campaign and really has a message for New York City and thinks she would be the best fit for mayor. So welcome, Joycelyn. Thank you for being here, and it's great to have you. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Nick, for having me. I appreciate you giving me a platform to come to you guys tonight. As you said, my name is Joycelyn Taylor. I am running to become the 110th mayor and the first Black woman to hold the position of mayor in New York City. A little bit about me. I grew up in Brooklyn. I've lived in New York all of my life. I grew up in a NYC development in East New York. I'm a mom to a son. I helped raise my sister's kids when she passed away. I went to school right here in Brooklyn at LIU. I started a construction firm. I have a nonprofit to assist minority and women-owned businesses. And most importantly, I'm running to become your mayor of New York City.
Awesome. And sorry, Joycelyn, I did not mean to butcher that. So sorry. But
no, it happens all the time.
So tell us, what are you drinking tonight? What's your cocktail?
My cocktail of choice tonight is a little white Zinfandel. So cheers, Nick.
Cheers. I have a lychee martini.
You have a little cocktail on a Friday night, right?
Exactly. Right? Exactly. So cheers.
Cheers.
So I guess we'll dive right into this. I think a good question is, what inspired you to run for mayor?
You know, what inspired me to run for mayor is that I have a lot of lived experience in this city. And I think, like a lot of your viewers, based upon that experience, we see what isn't working. You know, and I've had an opportunity to go and advocate, meet with elected officials, and I find that we keep having the same conversations over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And I grew tired of it. And just like Shirley says, you know, if you see something wrong, you can complain about it or you can fix it. And from my perspective, there's not a law, policy, or procedure in this city that hasn't been implemented by an ordinary man or woman. What I realized is that if we want to change it, we have to change who represents us. So that's why I decided to run for mayor. So to create the change that I want to see.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that. So we'd love to learn a little more about your background. How did you go from growing up to owning your construction business? So tell us a little bit more about your path here to sitting here today with us.
And it was a path with many stops. Like I mentioned, I grew up in East New York in pink houses. I come from NYCHA. I went to public school in New York City. I went to Washington Irving High School in Manhattan. I took up secretarial sciences. When I graduated from high school, I went to work for MetLife as a secretary. And since then, I've done so many other things. I've gone on from MetLife. I went to work for the State Division of Housing. I started working at the State Division Housing as a data entry clerk. I was able to move my way up to become operations manager for the State Division of Housing. When I left there, I took a different couple of paths and tried some different things. I went to go work for a property management and development firm. I went to go work in AIG. I worked in their global energy department, as well as their corporate legal department, managing multiple size projects and just operations all in all throughout the departments. I also had the opportunity in 2012 to start my own construction firm. And I started that firm for a reason. I am a single mom, I'm a woman. I am also a homeowner, and during that time, everything was going on with Hurricane Sandy. And I thought about my own experiences with dealing with contractors. And part of what I've done in my past life was working for a property developer, doing project management, working at AIG, managing the build out of floors and all of that type of stuff. And I wanted to bring that experience to regular everyday people who during this time of Sandy were going through something. A lot of people, when these things tend to happen, try to take advantage of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be and create a firm, that would allow people who were going through this at this time to have options as it relates to a reliable firm that was going to get their work done for them in a timely and efficient manner. Our motto was changing lives by creating amazing living spaces.
Wow.
So for me, it's always been about changing people's lives, having a positive impact on someone else's life. So I started that, and from there, our firm grew to start doing work with the city, which encouraged me to start a nonprofit to help minority and women-owned businesses. Because the city spends $22 billion on the procurement of goods and services. We have to ensure that the diversity of the funds going into that pot matches who and how that money is spent with. So I've lived the wheels off of this ride in New York City. I've done so many different things, and I've enjoyed it all. It hasn't always been great. It's had its moments, but I don't think I would change anything.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing story, and I love a great entrepreneurial story, especially growing up. And then that's so awesome. So I guess tell me more about the nonprofit you started to help minority women start businesses. That seems incredible. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, and it's so important, Nick, because when we talk about the disparities that exist in the city, and we talk about, the inequities that exist, so important that the diversity of the funds that we get in tax dollars, because it's everyone's tax dollars, right? It's important that those funds match how we spend them. Because, I started the nonprofit because I understood that if we can allow the diversity to match, have a huge impact in communities that we talk about all the time that are disproportionately affected. Right? It would allow those business owners to hire people that look like them, invest in their communities. Their employees would be getting an opportunity to make better wages, which would affect their housing, maybe save a little, which would affect their kids' education. So when I found out that the city had this law, Local Law 1, that talks about that this needs to happen, I wanted to see what I could do to help that happen. And that's why I started the nonprofit. And a lot of what we do is advocacy. Going up to Albany to create legislation so that we can create change around how the city operates with small and minority-owned businesses.
Exactly. I mean, support minority, to everyone watching, support minority business owners. I mean, it's so simple and it could make such a big impact and just make our city a better place. So that's incredible.
Yeah. And the thing about it is when you're supporting minority-owned businesses, most of them are small business owners, right?
Exactly.
In this moment, we're talking about supporting small business owners. So what better way to do that than to support, MWBEs?
Exactly. And that's incredible. So what was the greatest lesson you learned in your career and through all your experiences, if there is one?
When I think about the things that I've learned, I think the greatest thing that I learned is just to never give up and never accept no. Because a lot of times when we want to do certain things, and listen, as a society, we have a lot of work to do because we talk a lot about the things that we want to see happen, but then we also create the barriers to making that happen.
Exactly.
Right? So one of the things that I've learned, and one of the ways I've always been throughout my life, is that when someone tells you no, question it. Give reasoning, find a reasoning behind it, and keep moving forward. Because especially if it's something that you think is right, you can't accept that no. And also, if you don't ask, you don't get, right? You have to ask for what you want in this life.
Exactly. So
the resources that you need.
Interesting. So yeah, that's incredible. And what would you say if you had one message to young leaders, young people who wanted to get into politics, or just advice for young people? And it sort of goes on top of that question where that never give up is great advice. But what's your message to the young people watching?
Well, listen, I would say, just like Nike says, just do it. Just do it. I think that we tend to put our elected officials on these pedestals, think that in order to be a politician, that, you know, you have to have this pedigree, you have to be born into it. But the reality of the situation is that elected officials are just ordinary people like you and me.
Exactly. And
And we need more ordinary people like me in elected office. So I would encourage them and support them any way that I can. Don't be afraid. You have nothing to fear.
Exactly. That's the thing, elected official. And that's sort of the purpose of this sort of series we're doing, Cocktails with Candidates. Elected officials and candidates, they're just people. Like they work for the people, and they're relatable. They have human tendencies. They're people just like everyone else and their constituents. So yeah, that's a great message. So I guess so who have been the biggest role models in your life, and how have they helped you along your journey?
You know what's really, oh man, that's a tough question. There's so many people that I consider to be like instrumental. I think about when I go through certain situations, right? You know, first and foremost, my mom and dad, especially my mom, because she literally, like I tell people all the time, like if you look up nothing in a dictionary, there should be a picture of my mom there, like when she was a kid, because she literally had nothing. Like, you know, her mom died when she was young. She didn't know her dad. She didn't have any family. Like they would tell us stories all the time about what they had to do to survive, to like, you know, taking fruit from somebody's tree just so they would have something to eat, like burning wood from their house so that they could stay warm. So, I mean, she definitely is somebody, and we have this mantra in my family, rule or die. She is definitely someone that has instilled like strength in me, like no matter what, you know, because for her to not have a high school education, to be a grown woman, you know, with her kids that were, you know, almost grown in junior high school, to go back and get her GED, to become a supervisor at her job. You know, she showed me that anything is possible, you know. So her and my dad as well, hardworking man, you know, doing the best that he could for his family. We had a very large family. So I admire them. They did the best that they could with the information they had at the time. And I think they did a great job. But, you know, I was also fortunate that I have a number of like mentors that have helped me along my way. Like I remember my first boss, Valerie Jo Bradley, when I worked at the State Division of Housing. Like she wasn't one of my first bosses, but she was someone that to this day I still talk to, you know, seek advice from. You know, Carl Scully, you know, I worked for him when I worked at the State Division of Housing. You know, he's a mentor to me. Stacia Kelly, when I worked at AIG. So I've been really blessed to have all of these people pour into me, you know? So it's been a really good thing. There are so many that I can name.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And your mother seems like the strongest woman, and that's so incredible. And thank you for sharing that. I'm curious, do you want to share a story growing up with your mother? Because she sounds incredible. Sort of, we'd love to know more about her.
Well, you know, I'm going to tell you this story about my mom. Like this is like in the older days. Unfortunately, later on in life, my mom suffered from dementia.
So sorry. Yeah.
So she had to come stay with me. And she was staying with me. And, you know, even then, you know, she had her moments. And I remember one day I came home from work and I was telling her something that one of my managers had done that I didn't really like or appreciate. And even then, she was like, she was always still my protector. She was like, what's his phone number? Like, you don't treat my daughter that way.
Oh my God.
My mom, no matter, like to the end, very always loving and protective of, you know, her family. People that weren't family. Like if anyone knows my mom, they're going to tell you that they love her to death.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Like she was just an amazing woman, protecting us. And, you know, she used to, when we were growing up, she used to tell us all the time that, you know, and instill in us the need to want to help other people. Because she would say, a favor is not a favor unless you go out your way for someone.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. That's a beautiful story. And she's seemed like such an amazing woman. That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
she was. She was.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, thank you. So I guess what do you love most about New York City? Do you have sort of tell us that? Like what do you love about New York?
You know, I love New York so much because New York to me encompasses literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever you can think of. If you want to go to a nice restaurant, if you want to a nice, not so nice restaurant, if you want to, you know, go to a play, if you want to go to a museum, we have everything here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about it. Like when they talk about the city that never sleeps,
Mm-hmm.
I also love the convenience of it too, because like I can walk 1 block anywhere from where I live and find a bodega.
Exactly.
Right? So, you know, that's why I love this city. And I just love the genuineness of it. I love the hardness of it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that when something happens and the rubber hits the road, that we come together and make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to find finer people than you find in New York. Like even look at during this pandemic, the way people are stepping up, communities, people helping people. That's New York.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's an essential New York City, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, that's very well said. I remember there was just that community when everyone at 7 o'clock was clapping during the height of the pandemic. That's just New York's a community, the way I see it. There are so many different communities throughout, but the city itself is just one community. So that's very well said. So I guess are you ready for the speed round, Joycelyn? So we're gonna.
Oh my gosh, the speed! Wait, let me take a sip of wine, Nick.
There you go. All right.
Let me get ready for this. The speed round. Go. All right, let's go.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask you questions and answer them. It's that simple.
Okay.
All right.
Simple, right? Let's go.
When you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up?
What did I want to be when I grew up? I actually wanted to be a mom.
Oh wow. Are you a mom?
Yeah, I have a son.
Oh, no way. All right. There you
But awesome. You know, let me just say this about that question, Nick. And I know it's supposed to be a speed round, but let me just say this. And that's the difference of the disparity that we have to talk about, because in a lot of Black and brown communities, we don't get to have those conversations.
Wow.
Right? Like we don't get to talk about like, what do you want to do when you grow up?
Mm-hmm.
It's more like, you know, listen, you need to get a high school diploma. I don't know where you're going to find it, but you better find a job. Like those are the conversations. So, but I can remember being younger and thinking that, you know, one day I want to be a mom.
And I'd like to take a pause. I'd like to hear what you think of how do we change that? Is it getting better now? How do we change that? How do we inspire young people, especially young people of color to know that they can achieve their dreams?
Yeah, and I think part of it too is giving parents the opportunity to really parent and instill that. Because if you're working 12-hour days, 12 and 14-hour days, 6 days a week, how much time do you really have to have those conversations with your kids? Right? And a lot of it is that you teach your kids based upon what it is you know.
Yeah.
Like growing up, my mom, you know, it was hard for her to she didn't work. She was a homemaker until, you know, we got older and she went. But being able to find a job, that's all. It didn't matter what job it was. You just need a job so you could survive.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the difference. We got to change that dynamic. Other people are thinking about jobs in a way of what they want to do.
Yeah.
They're exploring their passion. But then you have people who are struggling that need a job just to survive. Think about what kind of job it is. I just need a job.
Exactly.
So we have to change how we operate as a society, be able to give people that opportunity or the ability to really think about what they want to do, because everyone should have that.
Exactly.
No matter what, it's still your life. You don't want to go through it miserable. You don't want to go through it without hope, without purpose, struggle mode. So I think it's going to take a lot more effective communication. And that's why I want to change a lot what we do with education as well. Because it's going to take more education. It's going to take effective communication. It's going to take us getting away from this society where we think, or we make it necessary for people to have to kill themselves in, 7 days a week in order to be able to live.
Exactly.
We get past that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was very, very insightful. And we need a clear change, and we need to sort of inspire people to the point where they can go from surviving to thriving. And that's awesome. So I guess the next question is, how long have you lived in New York City?
I've lived in New York all my life, 54 years.
So didn't mean to call you out for your age.
It's okay, Nick, because you know what? A couple of entities have reached out to me lately, and like, "What's your birthday?" I'm like, "Why does everybody want to know when I'm a present or something? What are you doing?"
Exactly.
So it's out there anyway.
We'll say 34 instead of 50.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome. So what is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is an old time movie. And if you ask anyone in my family, they will tell you that I love this movie. Lady Sings the Blues. You probably never even heard of it before.
Never heard of it. No, but I'll look into it.
Oh, with Diana Ross and Billy D. Williams. It's like a story about this woman. Diana Ross plays the lead role, and you got to watch it. But, it's a tragic kind of story, and it talks about the issues that were going on in that time and what people had to do to survive. And it's based upon a true story. But the thing I love the most about it is all of the music too.
Oh, that's
awesome. The songs, and some of them are pretty sad, but I love the music.
Yeah, no, now I have to watch it. That's awesome. Yeah.
I remember when I first saw that movie. That tells you, like, on Duffield Street in downtown Brooklyn, I saw that movie for the first time.
Wow, and makes you want to sort of wish things go back to normal soon, so we could go to movies again, sit in a theater. There's nothing really like that.
We'll get back to that. Hopefully we'll get back to it soon.
Exactly. So what are you thankful for?
I am thankful for my family, for my friends, for health, for the ability to impact other people's lives in a positive way. Those are the things that I'm most thankful and grateful and appreciative for.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Do you have any hidden talents?
Hidden talents. Well, hidden talents. Like, do I play an instrument or something like that?
Be anything. It's whatever you consider a talent. I mean,
here's the thing. I wish if that was this is the one thing that I wish was different, because people like my nephew is a dancer.
Oh.
He went to LaGuardia High School. He went to Juilliard. He's traveled all over the world. One of my nieces does hair and makeup. I wish I had some talent like that. Sister played sports. She was amazing at sports. She played basketball. The most I could probably do is cook the best macaroni and cheese there is.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a talent. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's a talent. Yeah.
What's the secret?
It's making love, Nick.
Yeah, that's the answer. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Go-to karaoke. Sister Sledge, We Are Family.
Oh, so this is the question I'm gonna ask you, and you don't have to do it, but would you be willing to sing a little bit for us? You hear your karaoke performance.
Okay, I have to sing with a disclaimer though.
All right, let's hear it.
I mentioned previously, I have no talents in that sense. So my son always says when I sing, it's like a cat barking. It just shouldn't happen. If you guys are up for it, I'm up for it.
We're up for it.
Before? Have you heard the song before, Nick?
Yep, I have.
Okay. We are family. I got all my sisters with me.
Oh,
We are family. Get up, everybody, in dance. I'm gonna leave it there. But I love that song because my sisters and I, when we would go out to karaoke places, we would all sing it together. So that's a great memory.
That was incredible, and I'm sure everyone watching absolutely loved that. That was so great. That was awesome.
Yeah, you're too kind, Nick.
I mean it. So here, all right. Here's a good question. What's your favorite New York City park, and what's a favorite memory you have at that park?
Well, I live in Brooklyn, so I have to say Prospect Park. I could say Central Park as well. I think I love those two parks, especially in the summertime, because Prospect Park, I love to go walking around that track. That's my form of exercise when the weather is nice. And also they have so many amazing concerts. Like, I've gone to the free concerts in Prospect Park, and those are some of my greatest memories, when I went to see Janelle Monáe perform there. Or, it's just, those memories are just, it's just everybody in Brooklyn coming together, people sitting on the grass, people sitting in chairs, eating food, seeing a nice free concert. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Great memories.
Incredible. What is your favorite pizzeria?
My favorite pizzeria. I don't know if it's still open, but when I went to high school, Washington Irving High School on 14th Street, there used to be a Ray's Pizza. Okay. On the corner of the school. That pizza, as well as the not Ray's Pizza that used to be in Brooklyn, those were my two favorites.
Yeah, Ray's is great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
much cheese they put on that pizza.
Oh, you have to. It has to be. Plain cheese, or do you like a topping?
I like extra cheese. I also like sausage. I like pepperoni. I like olives. I like jalapenos. So, variety of toppings.
Yeah, cool.
I love spicy things.
Awesome. So, if you were stuck on a desert island, who in New York City politics would you want to be stuck with for the best chance to survive?
In New York City politics.
Yeah, so like a politician, an elected official, someone from the community, or someone running.
Probably AOC.
Yep. That's a good answer. Yeah, that's awesome. Wouldn't mind being good conversationalist. That's good answer.
Because between me and her, we'll figure out how to get off that island.
Exactly. No stopping you two.
Yeah. She knows how to put in work. So yeah.
Exactly.
Be good.
Great answer. Do you have any nicknames or childhood nicknames?
Did they set me up for this? Well, actually, Nick, I do have a nickname. Everyone calls me Jaja.
Jaja. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Few more of these. So if you were a Times Square character for a day, who would you dress up as?
You mean like the naked cowboy or something?
Or like the superheroes that dress up like the...
I would be Superwoman.
Superwoman, awesome.
See myself with a nice cape, a little S on my chest.
Awesome. That's so. So this is a question for a lot of the Gen Z. They're on the call tonight, on the video tonight. Are you on TikTok?
You know what? I think my campaign started a TikTok for me. Nick, I want to be on TikTok so bad. My niece is 7 years old and she stays on TikTok. I'm like, Tamaya, show Auntie how to do TikTok.
Yeah, we need her running your TikTok. So
exactly. So I'm not on TikTok. I'm working on getting on TikTok because they have a lot of fun videos on there. I've seen some of them. So yeah, I'm not on TikTok. And to be on TikTok, you need to have some dance moves, right, Nick?
Yeah.
I can't sing, but I do have a few moves. So
yeah.
TikTok.
I love that. That's awesome. Do you have a favorite New York sports team?
That's hard. If I have to go baseball, I'm gonna have to go with the Yankees. I mean, I love my dad loved the Mets. So it's kind of hard. My dad was a Mets fan. And then also, everybody is a Knicks fan. Like the Knicks give us a hard time over here. They make it hard to be loyal, but the Knicks
years of heartbreak.
Yeah, because the Barclay is in Brooklyn, not too far from me. I think I've seen a lot more Nets games than I Knicks games.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's easy to root for both the Knicks and the Nets. Just really going with both teams. Where
but you can't root for the Yankees and the Mets.
I don't know. I don't think I could. But if you're I guess if you're the mayor, you have to.
Yeah. What team do you root for, Nick?
I'm a Mets fan. My whole life. Mets, Giants, Knicks.
Oh yeah, Giants. How could I forget my Giants?
Yeah. But that's awesome. So that's the speed round. That was incredible job. That was great.
Yeah.
All right. So now
great questions.
Thank you. Try to be a little creative with them, but that was awesome. So I think now is a good time that was the first two parts where we got to know you as a person, your background, had a little bit of fun. Now I think we could really turn to policy a little and understand what you're passionate about and sort of what the future is for New York City. So I guess what are 2020 that we saw super high voter turnout, but 2021 we may not see that same voter turnout. So I guess what are your plans or what are you doing now to encourage voter turnout and get people out to vote this coming election?
That's a great question because I think for 2020 and because of the whole issue with Trump, people were very, charged to go out. They felt like they wanted to make a statement. I think that in New York City in 2021, I want us to keep that momentum. But I can also already see it kind of dying down. So I think it's very important, especially when we're going to have, ranked choice voting for the first time. I want people to get excited about that because this is an opportunity for us to change the dynamics of the city, which is so important because we have to remember what happens on the local level actually affects us more. Happens on the national level.
Exactly.
So the things that I've been doing when I'm going out is encouraging people to make sure you're registered to vote. Encouraging people, look up your voter registration, make sure the address is right, make sure they have you with the right party. Encouraging people to encourage other people to vote. Also reminding them that every day we're investing in this city, right? No matter what you do, if you buy gas, there's a tax on it. You invested in the city. You buy a newspaper, a cup of coffee. The littlest things we do, we invest in this city. And you wouldn't invest in a stock and not want to see a return on investment, right? Well, your ability to vote and determine who the leadership is in the city is your return on investment. So you have to go out there and get involved.
Exactly.
I also believe that we have to start making this part of the norm more from children when they're younger. We have to start instilling in them that they impact this world, they impact the city, they impact the state, and that they do have some level of control over their own lives. And the way that they exhibit that control is by lending their voice to who was elected, who they elect.
Exactly. Yeah. Very great answer. And I guess really quickly, do you want to tell everyone sort of if they don't know what ranked choice voting is? So just to make that clear.
Yeah. And I know that they're doing a lot of trainings around ranked choice voting, which is very important. Well, ranked choice voting is was it last year when they had the election, not last year, or when they had the election, they decided to implement ranked choice voting. What it does, it gives you various options that instead of voting for just one person, you can vote for a number of people. And you will pick who is your first choice, who's your second choice, who's your third choice, and so on. And what people need to understand about it is that there is a way to do that. If you still only want to vote for one person, then vote for that one person. Don't vote for that one person on every line because then it makes your vote null and void, right? If you want to vote for two people, you could just vote for two people. But ranked choice voting is an opportunity to give you options. Say that if your number one choice does not make it, who would you like to have instead?
Exactly. Very well said. And I think it also I'd hope, and tell me if you agree with me, that it inspires voters to get informed, that they don't have to just make one choice. They have to make 4 choices. Who are my top candidates? So it really inspires them to listen to forums like this, like the other forums organizations are holding, and get to know the candidates.
Yeah. And that's why I think in this moment, these forums are so important. Because you do have, you have a lot of options, and you want to utilize your options. You want to hear, I feel like all of the candidates should be heard, not just who the media deems, is a viable candidate based upon money that they've raised. That, to me, that's not an accurate measure of someone's solutions, right? It's not an accurate measure of what someone is going to bring to the table. So, as it relates to live experience, you can't put a dollar value on that. And we need more people that have the everyday lived experience in this city in positions of leadership.
Yeah, awesome. So I guess another issue that I see is that voters don't feel heard and they don't feel connected with the current administration. So what initiatives would you take, and what would you do to make constituents feel heard and connected to you as mayor?
Yeah, and I get it, Nick, and that's why I still go out and I still try with people. I want them to know that I hear you. I hear you. I value you. You matter. I was on a forum the other day, last week, when we were with NYCHA residents. And, the NYCHA residents were talking about what it is that they want to see. And it was surprising to me that some of the candidates were talking about, well, no, this is what we need to do. It's a prime example. You're not listening to the people. I give the example all the time. It's like, if Nick, if you have a pair of shoes and you have holes in your shoes, and I come to you and I say, Nick, you know what? I'm going to help you out. You have holes in your shoes? I'm going to get you a new coat. Makes no sense. That you have to listen to people, because when we don't listen to them, we don't actually address their needs. And, your question was, because I was listening to you, what am I going to do as it relates to change that? One of the things that I want to do is bring a mayor's office to every borough.
Oh, that's awesome.
I want to meet the people where they are. And I want to have more conversations with people in every borough. City Hall shouldn't be this elusive thing that's just in Manhattan. I want City Hall to be where the people are. And I want to empower communities to have the power to utilize their voice and create change. There's so many leaders in these communities right now that are doing amazing work. And they could do so much more if we just weren't so afraid that they're going to break something. They're not going to break anything. Let's empower people to create the change that they want to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds great to me. So I guess now I want to give you a few minutes to talk about your policy, what's important to you, what are your maybe top 3-4 things that you're passionate about, and what you're going to do as mayor.
Yeah, so, I think one of the issues that we're dealing with right now that, is extremely important to me and top of mind has to deal with housing and homelessness. Because, stable housing creates stable communities. I say that all the time. And if you don't have stable housing, you have nothing, right? So housing is definitely an issue I want to address. And my vision for addressing housing in this city is simple. The city needs to take responsibility for creating housing that people in the city can actually afford. Developers are in the business to make money. For people should not be about making money. Government is supposed to be in the business of ensuring that people's needs are met. So my vision is for us to start building housing based upon the demographics of the city, based upon how much money we know people are making, based upon household size. And I also want to create ownership opportunities, because we talk about equity all the time, but equity means that everybody has an opportunity to own something here. And that's how you create stability as well. When you own something, you have a 30-year mortgage. No matter how hard you work, that your mortgage will be $1,000 or whatever it is. It gives you the opportunity to, as you grow and expand your career, to save more money, to do other things. maybe go on a vacation. So housing is a huge issue for me. And, one of the things I talked about in my administration and my vision is to talk about how this pandemic has impacted housing. And the fact that the reality is that a lot of commercial businesses, I use Daily News as an example, are not going back to their offices. How can we take those spaces, those commercial spaces, and create a win-win situation so we could address the housing issue and not have to build from the ground up? Because it's always more expensive, as someone in construction, I know it's always more expensive to build from the ground up, to come out the ground, than it is to convert something that's existing. So that's part of my issue. That's part of my platform, rather, to, address that issue by looking at commercial space, by actually investing more money in affordable housing and creating housing that people can afford. I've heard from too many people the fact that they've, one, applied for Housing Connect 152 times and never got called. And two, they still cannot afford the housing that's being proposed. When the city is working with developers and we have 75% market rate and 25% affordable, we'll never truly address the housing issue. So, and that piggybacks with what my other platform issue is, and that's job creation. Because when we're building additional housing, we have an opportunity to create jobs. We have an opportunity to allow more of those MWBE firms that we talked about to have opportunity to partner with the city to create affordable housing. That'll expand the network of entities that are working with the city, and that will expand how we're spreading the funds that we do have around the city. My mom always says it's not what you have, it's what you do with what you have. Right? So to me, that's very important. And the other issue, we have to address food insecurity. It's very important. During this pandemic, I've gone out to, to support various organizations that are doing amazing work, stepping up to the plate during this pandemic, feeding communities. They're helping people who are dependent on the kindness of strangers. But the way the city operates with them, they're dependent on the kindness of strangers. We have to change that dynamic. We have to give them more support and resources to do that very important work that they're doing. And that's what I'm going to do. We have a capital budget that includes a lot of things that are nice to have, but they're not necessarily needs. And in this moment, we have to separate the nice to have from the needs to have.
Awesome. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I mean, and thank you for sharing that with us. So I guess where can we find you? What's your website? Where can we donate? What's on social media? Sort of where can everyone watching find you?
Well, I'm on all social media platforms, including TikTok, even though I don't have any TikTok up there yet, Nick. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and I ask people to go to my social media platforms and make sure that you're following me, but also tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to follow me at Taylor42021. In addition, my website is Taylor42021.com. You can see, all the information in regards to my platform. There's a tab there that says solutions. It's broken down by what the various issues are, and it'll give you some insight as it relates to my solutions for these very pressing issues that the city is facing. And, as a grassroots candidate, and the only truly grassroots candidate in this campaign, those donations and support is extremely important. So I ask anyone that wants to support the campaign to, consider giving a $10 donation, a minimum $10 donation.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us today. This was incredible. It was awesome getting to know you. I don't agree with your son. I think you have an excellent singing voice, I must say.
I'm gonna let him know. You probably might have opened up something over here, because now I might go walking around the house singing all the time.
Well, yeah. Thank you.